guys. Good evening on this beautiful spring day. It's beautiful here out in the middle of nowhere. And just welcome to our family Bible study. We do this weekly, and down the road during the week sometime I'll do a video to share what we talked about. And it seems to be going very well. It's all definitely God. And this week we're going to talk about the light and what that means and how that applies to you as a Christian out there in today's world. All right, thanks again, and welcome to the Family Bible Study. My name is Jeff. The channel is Coffee with My Father. Please like and share if you like what we're doing. Go ahead and leave a comment. I can try to get back to as many as I can. We get another run of comments, I may have to ask a friend of mine to mediate and maybe answer some. But that aside, the question was brought up last week during the Bible study. Why do some people seem to have a light around them and others don't? Like when you're out in the mall, you're out at Target or Walmart, and you see somebody that just seems to have a glow about them that doesn't seem to fit the entire situation. Well, here's how I answered that. And some of this is going to fall into that conspiracy thing, but these are things people have been reporting seeing. So we're going to work with it. Back around the first of the year, there was that incident in Miami where varying reports went from everything from demons to aliens to Nephilim to tricks of the camera. Obviously something happened there. And I guess only the few people that were there that stayed and watched things pan out are going to know exactly what happened. But my wife and daughter have had experiences where in a big box store where they ran into, just face to face, not like anything big, but they ran into two gentlemen that they said that they came back. Well, actually they called me and said that they thought these guys were demons just from, it was like they could see through them, see what was behind the mask. And then later on, there was a person standing blankly and vaguely at the side of the road. And that person also had this, looked like they had a mask on to them that they saw through. So we know that in Exodus chapter 34 and in verse 29, we see something. Should have been a little more prepared for you. So, 34:29 in Exodus says, when Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tablets of the covenant of the law in his hands, he was not aware that his face was radiant because he had spoken with the Lord. And when Aaron and the rest of the Israelites saw Moses, his face was radiant, and they were afraid to come near him. So Moses spent time with the Lord, and he had this radiating glow, I guess is the best way to put it. So much so that in subsequent chapters, he covered his face and covered his head to cover that glow. And spending time with God puts you in that place that where things are going to become different and things are going to become more godly and less worldly. We see this happen with Jesus on the Mount of Transfiguration, where and this is in Matthew 17, where his face shone like the sun and his clothes became as white light. So we see Moses with this light. We see Jesus with this light. But can we find this light elsewhere in the Bible? And where God's people are kind of announced in public by some sort of light. And then we're going to go into Isaiah. And that will be Isaiah chapter 60 and verse 1. Arise and shine, your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. So here we are in the Old Testament where Isaiah the prophet's getting this word telling the people of Israel to arise and shine, to shine that light that's within them that God has given them. And then we'll see in Matthew. And Matthew chapter 5, verse 16. And this is Jesus speaking. He says, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand and give its light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your faith in heaven. Glorify your Father in heaven." So that light, Jesus is telling us that there's a light that's going to shine from you when you spend time in the presence of God, when you are walking in the gifts of the Spirit and love and joy and peace and patience and kindness and goodness and gentleness. When that's your walk and the Holy Spirit's in you, that's going to radiate out of you and other people are going to notice it. And also, demons are going to notice it and they're going to stay away from you. On 2 Corinthians, go a little further into the New Testament. Let's see, where 2 Corinthians 4. Sorry. 2 Corinthians 4. Oh. Let me get it right. 2 Corinthians 4, verse 6. And this is Paul talking. And we're going to start in 5. For what we preach is not ourselves, but Jesus Christ as Lord, and ourselves as your servants for Jesus' sake. For God, who said, "Let light shine out of darkness, and let his light shine in your hearts, to give us the light of the knowledge of God's glory displayed in the face of Christ." So that light is again shining forth from us when we're walking right, when we're seeking that presence of God, when we're doing what we're called to do. And lastly, we're going to go to Philippians, and that is going to be chapter 2, verse 15. I'm going to start in 14, actually. For do everything without grumbling or arguing, so that you may become blameless and pure, children of God without fault in a warped and crooked generation. Then you will shine among them like stars in the sky, as you hold firmly in the word of life. And in these instances, shine is to radiate. So it's a verb. It's something that is visible. Something that's visible to others around you. Something that's visible to the demonic world to keep you safe. God marks his people with the Holy Spirit. And remember, that same Spirit that the Holy Spirit was a pillar of fire in Egypt and a pillar of fire in the desert. That pillar of fire is inside you. that Spirit of God, that Holy Spirit is inside you, and that's producing a light. And if you look at those old mosaics that they found in the old churches in Turkey, in Ephesus, in those places, if you look at the old paintings from the Roman Empire, the disciples, the disciples and Jesus were always shown with a halo or a light around them. So there's something there that God's people are radiating for people to see. And it's not anything weird, but if the demonic is going to show its face in today's world the way it has been, God's going to have his people show him through their light, through their gentleness and kindness, through the gifts of the Spirit. And you're going to be a light in a dark place. And the closer we get to whatever is on the horizon, the more I think we're going to see this stuff. It's not just old Bible stories. The Bible's coming to life in a way that is, you can't keep up with it. The Old Testament prophecies, the New Testament prophecies, we're seeing them just fall off the pages of the Bible, and it's our daily news. So, stay in the Word. Stay in the presence. Stay in prayer. And control your mind with the help of the Holy Spirit in prayer, and think on whatever is good and pure and right. Use your gifts of the Spirit, your love, your joy, your peace, your joyfulness, your thankfulness, your gentleness, your kindness, your patience, and be what you were called to be in these days, these last days. I think that'll do it for now. You guys have a great night, and we will see you next week, if not a little bit sooner. Thanks.